Hello, my name is Isaac Berg, and today I will be your instructor for motor vehicles precautions and maintenance, which is Subpart O of 29 CF4 1926. I just want to note that though I am covering Subpart O, I will not be covering all of Subpart O due to time. So if you would like to see more regulations from Subpart O that deals with motor vehicles, please take a look at OSHA.gov. Let's go ahead and start our presentation. Now, the reason why we are doing this training, number one, because OSHA requires that operators and operator trainees take this course. Number two, as a company, we want to prevent caught between and struck by incidents. In this training, as a operator or operator trainee, you'll be required to learn two things, and I expect that you are able to do these two things once this training is over with, and that is complete a motor vehicle inspection to ensure that the motor vehicle that you use every day on your job site meets the general requirements of OSHA, and also be able to complete a maintenance check on the motor vehicle that you use every day at the start of your shift. Now, before we continue, let's define a motor vehicle. So, in Subpart O, a motor vehicle is defined as a vehicle that you operate within an off-highway job site, which means is not open to public traffic. A lot of the rules that we'll go over also applies to earth-moving equipment. For example, scrapers, loaders, crawler or wheel tractors, bulldozers, off-highway trucks, graders, agricultural, industrial tractors, and similar equipment. So during this course, during this lesson, I would like for you to make a list of things that you're going to actually inspect on the motor vehicle that you use every day. And so it's going to be a list of general requirements from OSHA, as well as a maintenance checklist. Let's go ahead and begin with our first topic. Seatbelts. Seatbelts should be on all equipment that is covered by this section. Now, there are two cases in which you do not need a seatbelt. And that is, number one, if the equipment was not designed to have a seatbelt, which means if the equipment was designed for stand-up operation. In this case, you would not need a seatbelt on that equipment. Number two, a seatbelt is not provided for equipment that does not have rollover protection or adequate canopy protection. In this case, you wouldn't want a seatbelt in the case that you would need to quickly get out of harm's way because you have no rollover protection. If the vehicle goes to roll over and you don't want a seatbelt on in that case, you want to be able to quickly jump off the vehicle to prevent bodily harm. Also, vehicles that are used to transport employees should have seats that are secure, and it should be adequate for the number of employees that are being transported. All right, so next we have brakes. So all vehicles should have service brake systems, they should have emergency brake systems, and they should have parking brake systems. And of course, these systems may use common components, and they need to be maintained in operable condition. Now, for earth moving equipment or equipment in which you handle material, your service braking system must be capable of stopping and holding the equipment at full load. Headlights and taillights. When your visibility conditions warrant additional light, for instance, you're working in dark, all of your vehicles or the combinations of vehicles that you use at night or in these conditions should be equipped with at least two headlights and two taillights. And these headlights and taillights must be in operable condition. Brake lights. All of your vehicles should have brake lights that are in operable condition regardless of the light conditions, which means whether you're working during the day or you're working at night, all of your motor vehicles or industrial trucks should have brake lights. All of your vehicles, including bidirectional vehicles, and bidirectional vehicles would be rollers, compactors, front end loaders, bulldozers, and similar equipment, should be equipped with a horn, and that horn should be distinguishable from the surrounding noise level. And it should be able to be operated as needed when you're moving in either direction. And of course, you must make sure that your horn stays in operable condition. Now, here's an example of a distinguishable sound. Of course, some of you may not prefer such silliness. You may want some a little bit more dramatic. There you are. Now, if you have an obstructed view, particularly for earth moving or a compacting equipment, you cannot use reverse gear unless one of two things are true. And that is your vehicle can only be operated in reverse gear if you have a reverse signal alarm that's distinguishable from the surrounding noise level, or if you have another employee or observer that signals to you when it's safe to go in reverse. All right, rated capacity. If you do have a lift truck, stacker, or any vehicle that has a rated capacity, that rated capacity should be clearly posted on the vehicle, and it should be visible to the operator. Of course, if it is possible to use removable counterweights on the vehicle, then alternate rated capacity should also be posted. And of course, any time during use, you should never exceed the ratings on the vehicle. Windshields. If your vehicle has a cab, it should be equipped with a windshield. And of course, if you have a windshield, you should have powered wipers. Anytime you have cracked or broken glass, that cracked or broken glass should be replaced. And if you're working in weather conditions that require it, you should have defogging or defrosting devices. And they should always be operable. Vehicle inspections. So it should be a daily thing. At the beginning of every shift, you should be inspecting your vehicle for any damage, any cracks, any breaks. And of course, if there is any defect in your vehicle, it should be corrected before putting it back in service. Now, here's a list of items, list of parts that must be checked for damage at the beginning of every shift. And that is all of your different brake systems, including your service brake system, your emergency brake system, and your parking brake system. You must make sure, for instance, there are no brakes in the brake discs, if you do have disc brakes. You should also check the tires, make sure there are no cracks or eggs in the tires. Make sure that if it is a tire that contains air, that it's holding the correct PSI. You should check that your horn is operable before using the machine or the industrial truck at the beginning of the shift. You should make sure that the steering mechanism for the vehicle is working properly and that it has no damage, as well as coupling devices. Make sure that coupling devices are in proper order. You need to check seat belts. Make sure seat belts have no tears. Make sure that they are latching correctly. Make sure that the operating controls are working properly before, especially for material handling devices or earth moving equipment. Make sure that your operating controls are working before carrying a load or carrying at rated capacity. You should make sure that all safety devices are working properly. For instance, if you have a motor vehicle that has a safety seat where the engine shuts off whenever you get off you are removed from the seat, make sure that that is still working properly. Okay. All lights need to be working properly, so make sure all your lights are accounted for, that they're all working, including your brake lights. Make sure that your windshield wiper is still properly working and that there's not too much wear on it, that it is still properly clearing the window, especially when raining or weather. Make sure that if equipped, that defrosters and defoggers are working properly, and if you have a fire extinguisher, make sure it has no damage on it. Make sure it looks like the handle or the latch is still properly or appears to properly work. And of course, stay up to date with fire extinguisher inspections. Now, you should be reading the user manual for any motor vehicle that you use on a daily basis, and you should be aware of the other maintenance items that need to be checked. If not, make sure you find that user's manual and read that user's manual and make sure you understand what other things should be checked on that vehicle on a daily basis to keep it in safe, operable condition. All right, so in closing, here are all of the general requirements that we went over and all of the maintenance check items that we went over as well. And as I said, depending on the motor vehicle and its user manual, you may have some extra things that you want to put in there, such as if the vehicle has hydraulics, you want to make sure you check all the hydraulic lines, make sure you have no leaks, for instance. Make sure that they're not dry rot, okay? Now, if you made your list of general requirements and then you made your maintenance list, now it's your turn. You're going to, within a week, complete your inspection for all of the general requirements of OSHA for your motor vehicle that you use on a daily basis, and also a maintenance check. Now, you're going to complete this inspection and this maintenance check in the presence of a supervisor. And a supervisor will sign your inspection sheet or your inspection results to confirm that you have done that inspection for general requirements of OSHA as well as for maintenance. And if your motor vehicle needs any repairs, you're responsible for putting that in the inspection results or the maintenance checklist. And then you will turn in, after your supervisor signs, you return in that inspection result and that maintenance checklist to your supervisor to be turned in to me. And this will give you credit for this course. If you complete that task, it will give you credit for this course. All right, so go out and be responsible to make the motor vehicle that you use on a daily basis safe and operating as it should, so that we can further prevent any incidents from the lack of maintenance or not being up to the general requirements of OSHA. All right, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed the training. Have a wonderful day.